Hello, spooky pals. Today we are gonna get gothic, we're gonna get scary, and we are gonna talk about some perfect books for October. Hello, spooky pals. My name is Lexi, and welcome back to my channel. I'm very excited because today we are discussing all things Gothic Lit. In another lifetime, my dream is actually to be a Gothic Lit professor, because guess what? I could read these books all day long and still not get tired of them. Gothic Lit has a special place in my heart because Gothic Lit is messy. It's not trying to be anything other than messy, and I love it so much for that reason. So today I will be recommending to you a list of Gothic Lit books. A lot of these are classics, but I do have a couple of modern takes on the genre. But I will say this is not a definitive list. There are a lot of books that are Gothic, that are classics, that are famous, that are modern and famous, and there's also quite a few authors, and I did not attempt to even do a tiny portion of what's on that list. Today, I'm just talking about a handful of Gothic books that I have either read and loved or that I am very excited to read someday very, very soon, hopefully this October. And so what I would really love is if you have a Gothic book recommendation or an author, whether I mention it or not, I would really love it if you would comment your own recommendation. That way the comment section is also a little bit of like a resource for people who are looking for Gothic Lit books that they want to pick up. And I might create my own TBR based on the list as well, and possibly even do like a part 2 version of this video based on your recommendations too. So I would really love that. But anyways, let's go ahead and start first with the definition, and then we will jump in to, I guess, the classics first, and then we'll do like more of the modern retellings of the Gothic genre. Okay, so what exactly is Gothic Lit? Great question. Alas, I am not actually a professor of literature, so I'm gonna give you a basic definition, but if you want a more formal academic resource that really explains Gothic Lit, I do recommend this book. This is by Fred Botting. It's just called Gothic, and it's the second edition. This is written by a professor of English literature. I have been reading this a little bit. I have been enjoying it. This is going to be really thorough, so if you want like an academic resource, highly recommend. But for today, I'm just going to go ahead and give you a more vague definition of the Gothic Lit genre. So the Gothic Lit genre was established, I think, in the 18th century, specifically in the late 1700s. The very first Gothic Lit book was the Castle of Otranto, I believe, in 1765, 64, 63, in the 1760s. And this was a little bit of like a pushback to the Enlightenment period that was happening in the 18th century or so. The thing that makes Gothic Lit just super fun is it's not really trying to give you a moral ending, okay? We're not following morally righteous characters. We're following vampires. We're following morally gray, and in some cases, just like bad people. And this wasn't something that was really a thing before. The genre is an aesthetic as well. It's a subgenre of horror, and a main principle, aside from like the ambiguous, morally questionable at best characters, is the fact that typically there is some sort of an architecture or land that also becomes a primary character. So a lot of what makes a Gothic Lit story Gothic is the architecture. Are we in a crumbling manor? Are we in a haunted house? Are we in the moors right now following a toxic love thing? And it typically also blends supernatural elements with science or with questioning, like if the characters are really getting everything correctly or if they are an unreliable narrator. Basically, it's just a fun time. You know what I mean? This is the perfect genre to get into if you want something super atmospheric and a little bit creepy for October. Highly recommend. I love it so much. Have I read every Gothic book ever out there? No, but it is a goal of mine. So let's go ahead and jump into the very first portion where we talk about the classics of Gothic Lit. Let us begin. The first book that I'm going to recommend to you is amazing in pretty much every single way, and that is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Oh my god, this book is everything. I've actually tried to read this 2 other times, and I failed at the other 2 times. This is very different than like what pop culture says it is. Frankenstein is not even the name of the creature. The creature, that guy, isn't even given a name. So like while I was reading it, I was so pissed off at that I just started calling him Paul because he deserved a name. His name isn't Paul though. Frankenstein was written written by the one and only Mary Shelley, who pioneered the entire genre of science fiction with this incredible book. The reason it was really hard for me to get through, and it took literally 3 times before it finally stuck, is just because it's very different than what you're expecting. For one, we start with like a random person who's not even like a main character, and he's on a boat. And like after a while, you're just like, when are we getting off the boat? But basically, Frankenstein is about Dr. Frankenstein, who is a scientist with a god complex, who decides that he is brilliant enough to try to create life all on his own. Does he go to Home Depot and get a plant? No. No, he doesn't. That's what I would have suggested, but you know, I'm just a girl. Instead, however, he decides to go to his local graveyard and dig up a whole bunch of old dead body parts, stitch them together, and call it a day. And there we have the creature. Now, I will tell you this, while this is dripping with atmosphere, okay? While this is at times terrifying, what this book is gonna do is it's gonna break your heart, okay? The book is really exploring humanity and what makes a man, or I guess like a person, and what makes a monster, and can the two be confused? You'll want justice for Paul though, that's all I'll say. Dr. Frankenstein is on my list, and it's not a good list to be on. Next up, we've got Dracula. It would not be a Gothic Lit recommendation video without the one and only Dracula. Very excited to talk about this book because I finally read it last year. And I highly recommend that if you're going to read it, you pair it with the audiobook because you guys, it was a full cast audiobook. Tim Curry was Dracula. There was a ton of different celebrities and stars, I think. There was sound effects, there was music, and it is such an incredible way to read this because what this book does that makes it so brilliant and stand out is that it is a story that is told in a multimedia format, which was, again, kind of pioneering for the time. It is told in journal entries, in medical logs from a psychiatrist. It's told in newspaper clippings, in advertisements, in all of these different things, and you are piecing together the mystery of Dracula as we go. And it is good. It is so wild. Do I like Dracula? No, I don't, actually. I think that guy needs a couple of hobbies because he has got a lot of babes. You know what I mean? He has several wives and he wants more. He would thrive in 2025. You know what I mean? Like Tinder would be his thing. But after a while, it did get on my nerves. I really just wanted him to leave some of the girls alone. That's just me though. A really interesting format about a vampire named Dracula who is out for blood and about the people who are trying to stop him. I will say this, despite the fact that Gothic Lit is supposed to have more morally ambiguous characters and it's supposed to be almost a little bit of like a pushback to the Enlightenment period, Dracula very much so has traditional moral themes in my opinion. I didn't really connect with it as much because of that. I felt like it was really obvious in the themes, whereas I really like a lot of the themes to be a little bit more quiet. But I still really enjoyed the format, and I think that it did a really, really great job with how it presented the story. So I do recommend it, and I do think it's like 5 stars. If you want to know my actual favorite vampire story though, that one is going to have to go to, no, not Twilight. Although, you know, teenage me did really enjoy that. It's going to go to Carmilla. Carmilla was actually written 20 years before Dracula, if I'm not mistaken, and it helped inspire Dracula. This is such an incredible story, and it's short. Carmilla is about a girl named Laura who lives with her father in this kind of isolated estate, and she's very, very lonely. And then one day, her dreams, and I guess arguably her nightmares, are answered in the form of Carmilla, a mysterious young woman who is just her age, whose carriage happens to break down right in front of their estate. They become besties, and then the vampire nightmarish stuff starts to happen. I will also say this is pretty sapphic, okay? Pretty sure Laura and Carmilla have a thing for each other, and pretty sure it's very obvious. In fact, that's actually one of the things that is written in, I think, the foreword written by Carmen Maria Machado in this particular book. I enjoyed the relationship. I enjoyed the pining. I enjoyed the subtext. I thought it was good, okay? In my opinion, best vampire story. And if you're interested in more Carmilla, as you should be, I highly recommend these 2 retellings. Now, I say retellings kind of loosely because they're not really, but they are inspired by Carmilla. This particular one definitely a more loose retelling of Carmilla S.T. Gibson. It's called An Education in Malice. Most people who read this book, who have read Carmilla first, don't like this because they're expecting a more true adaptation. This is very loosely inspired by Carmilla. However, I gave it 5 stars and I thought it was great. This is for all the dark academia lovers out there. This takes place at a university, I think in the 1940s. Carmilla and Laura are reborn in the form of academic rivals in a writing program. Lots of literature references, lots of beautiful prose, and lots of sexy times, okay? And then if you want kind of more of like a continuation of Carmilla, highly recommend Hungerstone by Kat Dunn. This just came out this year. This is a literary fiction, unhinged, weird girl lit type of a book, and I loved it so much. I gave it 5 stars. This is, I don't know, it's a book that kind of starts similar to Carmilla in the sense that Carmilla's carriage stops once again in front of this woman's estate. However, in this story, instead of Laura, we are following Lenore, who is very unhappy in her marriage to a man named Henry. And Carmilla comes to like add a little bit of chaos, you know what I mean? To stir things up, to add the drama. And it's good. If you like weird literary fiction, if you like unhinged female protagonists out for blood, do you see what I did? Because like they're like vampires are. Anyways, I think you'll like this. I loved it. Very morally gray characters, okay? Don't go into this thinking that, you know, the bad guy, it's unhinged. You know what I mean? The next book I have here is a classic Gothic lit story, and that is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. Oh my gosh, this book is so gay. This is such a good book. It is a book about this mysterious person named Dorian Gray, and Dorian Gray is hot, okay? He has got the boys, the girls, everyone in a tizzy because he is beautiful, but like in an almost inhuman way. And somehow he doesn't seem to be aging. It's a book about questionable morals. It's a book about, again, like what makes a monster, what makes a person. It's questioning art and lust and humanity and morals, and it's very good. I really, really enjoyed it. Highly recommend it. I think thematically it does like a lot of really interesting things, and it was just stunning, babes. Highly recommend that one though. It's pretty fun. Okay, I have here Shirley Jackson. Really love Shirley Jackson. I think that she is a fantastic writer, and I have 2 recommendations here. We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson is one, and then the second one is The Haunting of Hillhouse, again by Shirley Jackson. Now, what I will say about this one is do not compare it to the TV series. The TV show / TV series, that is way scarier in my opinion. A lot of what Gothic Lit does is it's more about building atmosphere. It's more about making the reader question the bumps in the night, the squeaks in the floorboard. It's supposed to be ambiguous, and it's supposed to be a little bit more meandering because it's a genre that's supposed to seep into you slowly so that you are often questioning what's going on. Is it something that I can prove scientifically? Is it something that is supernatural? Is there like a dark magic or force involved? Or is it me? Like, am I okay? And that's actually a pretty good summary for what this book is. The Haunting of Hillhouse is following a group of people who all come to do like a case study put on by, I don't know if it's a doctor or a professor, but basically he's trying to prove that things and houses can be like possessed. And so he's going to Hill House, which is notorious for being haunted, and he wants to study the people who are staying at Hill House to see if they are affected or like if there's really no ghosts there. You get to ask yourself, is the house haunted or is it not? Read to find out. It was really great. And then the other one is We Have Always Lived in the Castle. This is a very creepy, macabre little book. Highly recommend it. I thought it was great. Following 2 sisters basically who live isolated and the town hates them and we don't know why. And we have to figure it out. And it's very twisted and very weird. And I know I'm being incredibly ambiguous, but it's really, really short and I don't want to give anything away. It's worth it, but it's weird. I mean, look at the back. Like, that is terrifying. This next book is a book that I will not accept any criticism on, and that is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. Is it toxic? Yes. Yes, it is. Do I love it with my whole entire heart anyways? Yes, I do, okay? This book is following two tragic, doomed, very flawed, very, might I even say, probably bad people who are our main protagonists. They are both the protagonists and the villains of their own stories and of everyone else's. We're following Kathy and Heathcliff, who grow up together in the moors, and it's kind of like a toxic gothic thing where they both love each other, but both slowly destroy each other. Listen, I'm not saying it's healthy, but I am saying it's good. Let's move on. The next book I have is actually a classic that I have not read yet, and it's called Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, which is the sister of Emily Bronte. I have heard that this is so good, but pop culture has spoiled the ending. And now that I know how it ends, don't worry, I'm not going to spoil it for you the way it has been spoiled for me. But now that I know the ending, I don't know if I ship them. You know what I mean? Like, I think Jane can do better. But anyways, the book is following an orphan named Jane who really struggled and had a hard life. And then she goes to live with this mysterious, brooding gentleman in this crumbling manor. She thinks that weird things are happening because she's hearing weird noises around the manor. And it's just about her exploring the manor and maybe possibly having her own weird, twisted little romance. Listen, I know I can't say about that romance because here I am defending Wuthering Heights, which was written by her sister Emily. This is not healthy. So it's okay that this isn't healthy. I don't know if I ship them. We'll see. And then the other two books that I have that are classics that we will kind of go rapid fire with is Ann Radcliffe's The Mysteries of Udalpho and also Jane Austen's Northanger Abbey. Now, what's really interesting about this is that this was actually written as satire for Gothic Lit. Jane Austen actually read this book here, which is The Mysteries of Udalpho by Ann Radcliffe, and she really enjoyed it and she was really inspired by it, but she decided, I'm gonna kind of take my own view on Gothic Lit and like do my own spin, but I'm gonna make it funny. I'm gonna make it a satire. And so she wrote this book, and that's all I know. I know that it's kind of like a satire on the genre. It's supposed to be kind of funny. And I think that it actually references The Mysteries of Udalpho. But that's all I know about Northanger Abbey. But it references this book, which is by Ann Radcliffe. Ann Radcliffe is again seen as kind of like a staple in the genre writing community. She is one of the authors who really paved the way. And I know that she also inspired Edgar Allan Poe, who is also a staple in the Gothic Lit genre. This particular one is about a heroine who is also orphaned named Emily. And Emily is apparently imprisoned by her evil guardian in this crumbling estate. I don't know anything else. I just know that it's about Emily, who has been imprisoned in this crumbling estate, and that it's gothic and scary. And I'm very interested. I hope that good things happen for Emily. I hope she burns that place to the ground. You know what I mean? Like, let's go, Emily. But yeah, that's all I know. I just know that it's about Emily, who is unfairly imprisoned. I really hope that this is a revenge story. All right, my friends, we are on to not the classics, the modern day things. I mean, not all of these like take place in the modern day, but they're written currently. The very first one is Alexis Henderson's House of Hunger. I freaking love this book so much. So if you are a person who likes the gothic atmospheric vibes, but you want to actually be scared, I think that this is a great one. This is really great because I think it has a lot of really important themes, but also it's just like incredibly engrossing. So in this particular world, it's kind of like Alexis Henderson's take on vampires, but we're not really calling them vampires. Basically, in this world, there are things called blood maids. So it kind of takes place around the time of vampires, and there is a countess, I think, that's supposed to represent Dracula, but instead of vampires, they're just a bunch of rich people who are drinking the blood off of poor people because blood apparently sustains them and keeps them young and youthful and vibrant. Being seen as like a blood maid is kind of being seen as like not necessarily a good thing, but it sets you up for life. Like, you're given a lot of money, you get to live in these huge castle mansion type things, you're given a lot of privilege, and Marianne is down on her luck, okay? It's not looking good for her. And so she becomes a blood maid to one of the most powerful countesses, and it's a toxic, weird dynamic. And it's really good. It's really fast paced. It's very atmospheric, and I highly recommend. The next two that I have to recommend are both YA books. The very first one is Kate Alice Marshall's These Fleeting Shadows. This is really good. The atmosphere is top tier, and it has pretty much everything that you would want in a gothic tale. So this book is following Helen, and Helen is a teenager who lives with her mom, and they are estranged from her mother's family. And her mom actually does not want to talk about about her past or her family ever. And then one day they receive a letter. It turns out that Helen has randomly inherited everything of the families. She has inherited the crumbling Gothic manor, all of the things that come with that Gothic manor, all of the money, everything. But there is a little bit of a catch. She doesn't get any of that stuff unless she lives in the creepy Gothic manor for a full year. Does that not sound so intriguing? She decides, hey, okay, what do I have to lose? Let me stay in this creepy Gothic manor. Turns out she could lose a lot. Anyways, it's very scary. It's very atmospheric. It's very Gothic. Highly recommend. And then the next book here that I have is, well, it was my favorite book of the entire year for last year. I'm about to start rereading it again for the second time. Actually, no, I've already reread this book twice, 3 times. It's good, okay? And that is Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews. Oh my God. This book is everything to me. I don't think it gets better than this book. The book takes place at a boarding school. So we have like the Gothic atmospheric vibes comes right off the bat from the boarding school. And we're following Andrew and his best friend Thomas. Now, Andrew is a writer of these twisted dark fairy tales, and then his bestie Thomas illustrates them. This is the year that strange, mysterious monsters are coming to life, and they seem to be coming directly from Thomas's illustrations. And the boys have to defeat the monsters one by one every single night so that they don't let the monsters and the forest into their school. It's good, okay? If you want a book that is dripping with atmosphere, that has pining, that has romance, that has incredibly scary, like monster vibes, this is it. You know what I mean? It's dark academia. It's Gothic. It's horror. It's writing at its finest. Like, if you want the ultimate book for October, that is it, my friends, right there. And then finally, I have 2 books that I have not read yet, but that I really, really want to. The first one is by Isabella Cañas, and it's called The Possession of Alba Diaz. So it says, when a demonic presence awakens deep in a Mexican silver mine, the young woman it seizes must turn to the one man she shouldn't trust. So it's a little bit of like a toxic romance, which we've already established I love. But also it is following this woman named Alba and how she has to try to get this thing out of her. And I hope that she is successful because I don't even like the flu. You know what I mean? So like I can't imagine that. But I've heard really, really great things and I'm very excited to read it this October spooky season. The last one I have here is also on my TBR. It's been on my TBR for a couple of years now. I really, really want to read it. It's called Malice House and it's by Megan Shepherd. This particular book is following a woman whose father has just passed away and he was a writer, and she illustrates, it's kind of similar actually to Don't Let the Forest In, I guess, in that regard. She illustrates, her father writes, and when she goes to his estate, Malice House, after he passes away, she finds a manuscript that he has never published, and in it are all of these descriptions of monsters, and so she decides to illustrate these monsters. Now that's kind of all I know, aside from the fact that this also involves a secret society that does not want any part of this manuscript to be published. So we've got monsters, a crumbling, weird, secluded little Gothic mansion called Malice House, and also a secret society, plus monsters. That sounds like a good Sunday night. You know what I mean? Like that sounds like my ideal read for October. So hopefully it's good. That's it for my final modern day recommendation for Gothic Lit. And there you have it, my friends. Those are all of the Gothic Lit books that I have for you today. But once again, I would absolutely love it if you have any Gothic book recommendations. My question of the day is, what Gothic book recommendation do you have for me? It can be modern, it can be a classic, really anything. It can be a short story. And if you don't read Gothic Lit very often, then just tell me one book that you do recommend. And the emoji of the day, even though he's not on this list, is going to be the crow for Edgar Allan Poe. Is there a crow emoji? Oh my God. If not, let's do like a grave emoji. But yes, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you are having a lovely, lovely October, and I'm very excited to see what books you recommend down below. A huge, huge, huge thank you to all of my patrons over in Foxenwood. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for all of your support. And a huge thank you to all of you who are watching this video. I love you guys so much as well. I'm so grateful for all of you who leave me really, really sweet comments and are just really kind and give me book recommendations. I am so honored to read books and share them with you. And I think that's it, Spooky Pals. So until next time, my loves, keep your head in the clouds and your heart in a book, and I will chat with you very soon. Stay spooky!